I've known Jennifer and Bill Morgan for a long time, and they're just a delightful couple. They're a wonderful couple, and they're just going to really entertain you tonight because they're full of so much wit and charm, and that's why I was late, because we were having dinner with them, and we kind of got lost track of time. But Jennifer taught, she's from New York, and she taught public school in New York. And then when she came out to California, she met Bill and fell in love with Bill, and they were married, and she was teaching in a private Christian school here in California. And they have 3 children, and she's now homeschooling. So, and she has a wonderful presentation for children that I'm going to try and memorize, because I would love to teach a Sunday school class of children the things that I heard her talk about. And Bill is a mechanical engineer in designing things. I'd like to know what kind of things he's been designing for 23 years. And he's been teaching, and he's a wonderful, wonderful witness. He'd just go up to anybody and start talking to them, and nobody trips him up. He's just so quick. I wish I had a wit like him. He's so quick with everything. He witnesses, and he's been debating for 17 years on creation versus evolution. And tonight he's going to talk about, you've all heard this, which came first, the chicken or the egg? And so it's really not that hard to answer that. But anyway, some people get stumped. He has a lot of questions here about how to answer these simple questions people ask you. Sometimes they do it deliberately to trip you up. Sometimes they really just want to know. You know, is the Bible true? How do you know it's true? And what about Lucy? What about suffering? Well, all these things. What about the dinosaurs? If he has simple answers, and I was like, what? I didn't think of that. My mind just goes blank. I go, oh, well, because. Well, that's not a good answer. Just say because. Oh, well, I believe it. So, without any further ado, I'm going to have Jennifer come up and entertain us for a while. It will be very informative. Thank you.
One of the reasons I first started doing research and looking into creation is I had a niece who had written me a letter. I was in California, she was in New York State at the time, and one of her questions to me as a high school student was, how do you know God exists? And she struggles with that issue, and when I responded to her, part of my answer was definitely doing creation. Because it's there, you can't touch God, but you can touch His creation. And there are many parts of creation to me that shout that there is a creator, there is a designer, there is just no doubt. And so it started me thinking and working and looking and doing some reading to find parts of creation that begins to get excited about what God has done. And He's awesome. And to include that awe of worship through His creation. And so let me just share Romans with you. Talking about God. Romans chapter 1, for since the creation of the world, His invisible attributes, His eternal power, and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood through what has been made, so that they are without excuse. And I think those 3 parts of God can be understood through His creation. His invisible attributes, His eternal power, and His divine nature through what has been made. And the creation is there for us to appreciate. So I just want to get you excited about creation, about some animals that God has made. And I can't take credit for doing the research. I've used some things from Creation Magazine. There's the Johnson and Omega Institute. And so I pulled from some different sources tonight. So I want to share those with you. Okay. Mechanical challenge, so I'm hoping that we're going to be good to go. Okay. Mallee fowl. This bird just fascinates me. It's from Australia, and it's not a very large bird. It's actually about the size of a chicken, and it is called a mound-building bird. I'll tell you what this dad does. He's a very busy worker. There is internet, sorry, I didn't do the library, can't find photos. The only thing was off the internet, so I apologize there. The dad digs a hole, and he digs this hole about 3 feet deep, and he piles twigs and leaves into this pit. And after each rain, then he buries the vegetation with sand to seal in the moisture. Wet vegetation starts to decay, and that decay starts to create heat. So he's working on something special. with his wet vegetation. He moves material and keeps moving material so that he could build something that's about 15 feet high and up to 35 feet across. Now this is incredible, this mound, just a mound that he's creating. He's working, and he's working. He may move up to 3 tons of material to make this immense mound. Now the science behind it, wet vegetation begins to rot, produces heat, the pile begins to warm up. The mallee fowl has a heat-sensitive beak. Good picture down there. There he is. He's actually going to take the mound. He has a heat-sensitive beak and also heat-sensitive tongue. And what he does is he checks the temperature of his mound, and he's waiting for a particular temperature. It may take 4 months for this mound to get to the right temperature, which is within 1 degree of 92 degrees Fahrenheit. And he works to get this mound to that correct temperature. And when it's warm enough, he digs an egg-laying chamber. He's building a huge incubator. That's the purpose of his mound. He digs to find an egg-laying chamber, and the female comes and lays her eggs over a period of time. And it may take her up to a week to lay multiple eggs. She may lay 6, maybe up to 30 eggs as she visits this mound. And I'll give you a little bit of a sketch there. So his egg chamber is within there. And after each egg is laid, then the male covers that egg with sand, like an incubator, keeping it protected. Now he is continually checking the temperature of the nest with his bill. He adjusts the layer of sand. It can raise or it can lower the temperature, so he knows how to take care of his eggs. If it's too hot inside, the rotting plants are really going strong, he can remove sand from the eggs to allow them to cool down. If it's too hot from the sun that day, then he can add sand to insulate them to make them really warm on the inside. And if it's too cold, on a cloudy day or just a cold day, he moves the sand away so the heat of that sun can penetrate and get down to that mound and to those eggs. Always within 1 degree of 92 degrees Fahrenheit. Is heat-sensitive beak and tongue. The mallee fowl works and works and works to build this nest. Now, the eggs hatch about 9 weeks later. The chick has to find its own way out. It may take 2 hours up to 15 hours for that chick to work its way out of that egg chamber, and it goes over off into the shade or off to the bushes to the side, and it rests the rest of the day. The next day, they are ready to go. 24 hours after hatching, they can fly. And they have no contact with their parents. They're done to go and fly the rooster. They're all the best. They're on their own as soon as they hatch. Parents rest for 1 to 2 months, and then they spend another up to 11 months preparing and making the nest for their next year's brood. 2 years of age, at 2 years old, these animals are able to mature, well they're mature, and they find mates of their own and they're ready, able to start their own nests. How does that happen? No contact with their parents. They're able to go there and do and create and build this mound for their own family. Okay, no contact with their parents. Incredible labor of love on behalf of his dad, working hard, and yet no, gee, thanks Dad, you worked really hard, I appreciate it. Off they go, and yet they know. Instinct, pre-programmed knowledge, designed by God, internal knowledge that they have. Design or random mutations, which should you choose in that one? Design. They are able to make and then defend their nest. So mallee fowl is that bird. It is found in Australia, and unfortunately, Australia is found in our backyard. And I did meet someone, and I asked them, I said, so, we asked you a question about the outback and this mound-building bird. What are there mounds? What happens to them? And he did say that in the outback there are mounds all over the place, indeed, because they're huge. I'm thinking, what? It must be amazing to see, and I'm sure at some point that probably something else repurposes or lives in it, because probably the termites take over and food. So hopefully, some other animal shares that after that part. Work with that dad. We're going to go a little bit smaller scale. We're going to go to something that you cannot see with your to see it, like a microscope to magnify this. It's a mite, and it's called the hummingbird flower mite. Tiny spiders, and they like to eat the pollen of a camellia flower. And they are only 2/100 of an inch, so we can't see them without somehow. Don't start scratching as soon as I say the mites. All the mites, wow, they're just and plenty that we have. In one sitting, they'll eat 40% of the nectar and 50% of the pollen of a blossom. So 40% of the nectar and 50% of this blossom. And this nectar is only available one morning and then the flower starts to die. So they consume it all and then they have to go on. So some mites will just crawl over to the next blossom or crawl over to the next flower to reach tomorrow morning's nectar. But others of them have an amazing way of traveling from one flower to another flower. And they are called hitchhikers in this world. They travel to a new neighborhood by hitchhiking. They use hummingbirds. So let's talk about hummingbirds for a minute. Hummingbirds. Attracted to the camellia flower, they hover over this flower for 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 seconds, enough to get a quick sip. And in that 5 seconds, the mites have a job to do. They have to get on the bill, and they have to scramble for a nostril, but they have to avoid being eaten by that swirling, flickering tongue. So how fast do they move? Well, mites can move 12 body lengths per second, which for a mite is as fast as what a cheetah's speed is. So this animal can move 12 body lengths a second, which for them is about 3 centimeters. The mites have no eyes, and they're very picky about which flowers they want. So, how do they know? How do they know which one they want? How can they tell? How can they sense these? Well, God gave them tiny hairs on the front of their legs to tell them all about their surroundings. And these tiny hairs can tell them who their neighbor mites are, if it's female, if it's male, if they're young, if they're old. And he gave them a super sense of smell. And that smell is on the tip of the tiny hairs on the legs. It's important to have that sense of smell because hummingbirds do not smell these flowers. Humans cannot smell them. But the hummingbirds breathe very fast. In fact, their wings are beating 100 times a minute. So they bring the smell up into their nostrils for the mites. Now, when the mite smells a new blossom, they have no more than 5 seconds to get off, scramble off, and they leap into an unknown and hopefully not too crowded flower. And then they have their lunch, dinner, breakfast together. 40% of the nectar, 50% of the pollen. To make more mites, this particular animal lays up to 6 eggs in just a few hours inside the flowers. And then they hatch and become an adult in a week. So this is a pretty short or brief time for these animals. And most of these flowers that these hummingbirds get pollen from, and the mites are looking for new homes every day, because a lot of this only lasts one day. We blossoms and they're moving on to the next. So hummingbird flower mites, the hitchhikers, getting a ride on the hummingbirds. Let's talk about another different kind of frogs. And this amazed me when I first studied and looked at this animal. I just was so fun to talk about. But frogs, just to talk about the whole order of frogs, vertebrate class. Frogs and toads are different. Frogs have a mucus-covered skin and long legs, and toads are actually dry or kind of rough skin, and they're shorter-legged. And did you know that frogs leap and toads hop or walk? A little bit different locomotion. Sizes for frogs, size range could be 1/2 inch up to 1 foot, which is the African giant frog. Kind of aggressive, but he is out there. And the development of frogs, this just kind of gives a little bit of a background. To look at that, the metamorphosis that this animal goes through and what they do, they're tadpoles have no jaws, lungs, or eyelids, and they have an exoskeleton, or a skeleton of cartilage, sorry. After a period of growth, they go through a striking change, and I just want to share a little bit of this with you. Bear with me here. The tail is lost, and the limbs appear. First to appear are buds, which grow into hind limbs. Much later, the front limbs emerge, and the tail begins to shrink, being absorbed by the body. Jaws and teeth then develop, cartilage turns into hardened bone, and the long coiled intestine of the tadpole shrinks into the short, thick-walled, folded intestine of the adult. That has to go on, all this has to go on. These radical changes are equaled in the animal kingdom only by the metamorphosis found in insects. So they're comparing that to the insects. This amazing transformation is sometimes misused as an example of evolution. However, evolution would have meant lots of new genetic information arising, whereas all the genetic information necessary for these changes already exists programmed into the frog's egg. The features and genetic code of the adult frog or toad inherited from its parents are already set in the egg, and no new information is added as it becomes a tadpole from a frog. So there's a little bit of evolution there that they're trying to use. I always say, animals change, but the eggs continually produce frogs, and that's the go. But I love that his intestines have all changed and turned around. It's fun and fascinating to think about what these guys go through, and they're just tiny guys, going and millions of them every day going through these changes. To appreciate that. But the frog that we're going to talk about, frogs are kind of particular and have specialized environment, and they're kind of not temperamental, just specialized. It's hard to, if you're trying to keep a frog alive. I've heard more stories about frogs not making it than frogs making it in aquariums and homes. One threatened species that we're going to talk about is called a gastric brooding frog. So take those two words, gastric, you want your area, your tummy, that area, and brooding is where you have your young, you take care of your young rows. So this animal, gastric brooding, was discovered in 1973, and Rheobatrachus is their name. They give birth to live young through the female's mouth. And this is the story. The mother swallows her eggs after fertilization and then stops feeding for 6 or more weeks. The eggs develop and pass through a type of tadpole stage without being digested. Now the frog's stomach is normal. The rest of the year, the other 6 weeks she eats and everything works great, goes all down and digests and crunches up from her hydrochloric acid. She has normal hydrochloric acid. She has enzymes that work to normally digest whatever is swallowed. But here's the amazing part to me. There is a jelly around the eggs that contains a chemical that switches off the production of this acid and prevents the stomach from discharging it further down into her gut, or down into her body. Jelly around the eggs. Giving birth can happen by one huge vomit, and there they all are. Or it's more likely that they do happen to be spaced out over a few days or even over a week. And the baby frog comes out into her mother's mouth and sits on her tongue before making its entrance into the world through her wide jaws. Sadly, this species has not been seen since 1981, so it's not there to see, but we do have photos for you. There, amazing. Why does this happen? Why? Is this a better plan? Worse? I just think God does this to wow us and to amaze us and to humble us of who He is as a creator, that He can do whatever He wants in creation. And I think we're just scratching the surface of His creation and what there is out there, animals to see and to discover, and just to be wowed by who He is as a creator in this world and what He has done and what He has made. God has a unique plan, and we marvel at His creation. So Rheobatrachus is called a gastric brooding frog, if you check it out. Kangaroos. Bunch of kangaroos. I have been fascinated as I've studied this. It just really kind of have a little place in my heart for kangaroos. value at our zoo. And they have some special features that I feel really do show us an amazing God as creator of kangaroos. They're designed so that they have a better chance for survival. And there is a desert species that is able to, in times of drought, she can actually slow down the baby's growth inside of her until it is safe for that joey to be born. So it's a particular desert species that can do that. And the mom is almost always pregnant. She usually has 3 little ones, with her one that is growing inside her, one joey in her pouch, and the larger one in her heels. Baby's born after about a month, so it's not a long gestational time. So baby's born after about a month. The largest one is only about the size, the largest one is only about the size of your thumbnail, largest size of your thumbnail, and the smallest is about the size of a grain of rice. There is your largest, there is your smallest. The baby has to make the climb into the mom's pouch all by itself. So this baby is naked, blind, and deaf. And it takes about 10 minutes for this baby to climb up and in. And then when it is there, this is just amazing to me, once there it attaches itself to its mom to get milk. And its mouth actually swells so that it stays on. Why? Think about what does the mom, how she shouldn't take slow walk in the park when she moves. She's leaping. And that motion, and so the mouth swells on, so it continually can nurse on mouth and it just stays put. The pouch has 2 lips on it that seal after the baby goes in, so it is waterproof so that the animal can go swimming and not lose her young in her pouch. Think of it like a Ziploc bag kind of sealing. And she does go swimming. We read something the other night about a baby that was lost because the pouch had opened, and probably part of the photographers taking pictures, and the baby did die because the water had gone in and the baby had drowned in its pouch. So it seals, should seal. And the baby, after about 3 months of being in the pouch, then it's time to go in and out of the pouch, and does it till it's about 8 months old. It would go in back in the pouch to eat, and then it would also sleep in the pouch. So she has 3 around, 1 inside her, 1 joey in her pouch, and the larger one by her heels. So there's 3. So as a baby, this is a baby that is within a pouch. It's a black and white, I think from the 50s, is the film we found this picture. And its mouth actually swells, and that's as you can see, so it is attached, able to nurse at leisure whenever it wants to. And thank goodness, because if that mom is cruising around, it's going to be a pretty rough ride. And there is closer to her. That's and it is naked and blind and deaf. And the size of a grain of rice. Tiny, tiny. Amazing climb that it has to make to build something to attach to its mom. I was very impressed with our creator. Kangaroos, moving around the way they get around, they are pretty, they can be aggressive. They're usually pretty timid, and they're usually just skittish, and they'll get out of there in most cases. Now they can leap 5 to 10 feet with their hops, so 5 to 10 feet could be each hop. Now when they are chased, that distance has been, it increases, and it has been measured to be 27 feet when they're being chased. And I'm sure it's not forever that they do that kind of sprint where they get themselves out of danger. Females are called flyers, and they do move faster than the males, who are called boomers. Good reason for the females to be moving faster when they've got all this mama going on. They've got one inside, one in their pouch, they're busy. Mamas, and so they protect, they do move faster than the males, or the boomers. And it actually takes more energy for these animals to be still. They would prefer to leap or run or be in motion because this animal doesn't have a diaphragm like we do. Diaphragm is a breathing muscle and it helps push our air up and out of our lungs. This animal uses the impact to push the air out of its lungs. So if you watch them, they don't stay still for very want. And I'm not sure, as I'm thinking through that processing of sleeping, resting, how do they do? There must be some mechanism that they use for resting. So they use the impact of landing pushes the air out of their lungs, so it's not hard for them. I leap across a room, I'm out of breath. This animal is not out of breath. They're good. Another defense that they do have is their clawed hind feet, back feet, and they're usually, as I said, timid, shy. But when they're threatened, they can really hurt. And if you've ever seen us, we didn't do it, okay. We had a, they were going after each other, and they are amazing. They'll use their tail to support themselves, and the males get pretty rowdy, and they're boxing, it seems to be, and they'll draw blood. They'll get really aggressive, and they use their tail to get up there and they troop and use their clawed hind feet, and they do have claws on those hind feet, and they can hurt. So I want to wrap up with that and just share with you my scripture that I just really, as I look at these animals, we could spend a lot of time on creation of animals and to appreciate them, but to put the focus on our Creator, not on the animals, because He did make the animals, we enjoy and appreciate them, but pray that they direct you to who is the Creator, who is the Designer. And there's a verse in Colossians that encourages me and I think encourages you about God and His job, part of who He is. For by Him all things were created, both in the heavens and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things have been created by Him and for Him. And He is before all things, and in Him all things hold together. And when there's times when you feel like you're the only one going through stuff or going through yucky stuff or problems or crises, He is the one who is holding it all together. If you think of the size of the heavens, down to the microscopic things that are going on in your blood cells every day, He is the one who holds it all together. I want to refer to Colossians 1:16 to 17. Amen. Yeah, sorry. But a camera for you guys. Oops, can we go back? Okay. I want to wrap up my part of sharing with you tonight. One of the reasons I wanted to be brief is because my husband is far superior and wonderful and has a great presentation, and I want to allow him as much time as he can to share, and also to share something that's, there's something going on in the intelligent design world, and I want to let him share that with you. Also some news about that. So I'm going to do you want to do your
I'll do
segue?
the business.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Bill. There you go.
Have they ever figured out why the lead file never gets together with his parents?
I wish. Yeah. And just, they're done. Labor of love. Labor of love.